Once upon a time, in a land of green hills and sunny skies, lived a young shepherd boy named David. He had a very important job, taking care of his father's fluffy, white sheep. Every morning, David would lead his flock to find the greenest grass and the clearest water. He loved his sheep, and they loved him right back. They weren't just his job, they were his friends. David was a very brave boy. If a big, scary lion or a hungry bear tried to sneak up on his sheep, David wasn't afraid. He would stand tall, protect his flock, and chase the wild animals away. He knew that taking care of others was the most important thing he could do. He made sure every single one of his woolly friends was safe and sound. When he wasn't watching for danger, David loved to make music. He had a special instrument called a harp. He would sit under the shade of an olive tree, and his fingers would dance across the strings, playing beautiful songs. The melodies would float on the breeze, filling the fields with joyful music. The sheep would gather around, and even the little birds in the trees seemed to stop and listen to David's wonderful tunes. He didn't just play music. He sang songs to God, thanking him for the sunshine, the green fields, and his wonderful sheep. His heart was full of joy and gratitude. One day, something very unusual happened. A wise old prophet named Samuel came to David's town. A prophet is someone who shares special messages from God. Samuel was looking for a very special person, the next king of Israel. He met David's older brothers. They were all tall and strong, and everyone thought one of them would surely be chosen. But God told Samuel that he doesn't look at how tall or strong someone is on the outside. God looks at what's in their heart. Samuel asked, "Are these all of your sons?" David's father replied, "Well, there is still the youngest. He's out in the fields, watching the sheep." So they sent for David. When David arrived, with his bright eyes and kind smile, God said to Samuel, "This is the one." Samuel took a special oil and poured it on David's head. This was a sign that one day David, the shepherd boy, would become the king of all of Israel. David didn't become king right away, but from that day on, he knew God had a very special plan for his life. He felt a new strength and a new purpose, but he went right back to his fields, faithfully caring for his sheep, just as he always had. Now, at this time, the people of Israel were in big trouble. A giant named Goliath, who was taller than a house and wore heavy armor, was daring anyone to fight him. All the soldiers were terrified. Goliath would shout and stomp and make fun of them every single day. No one was brave enough to face him. Everyone hid, trembling with fear. They didn't know what to do. David happened to be visiting his brothers on the battlefield, bringing them some food from home. He heard Goliath's loud, booming voice and saw how scared everyone was. But David wasn't scared. He knew that with God on his side, anything was possible. He said, "Who is this giant to challenge the people of God? I will go and fight him." Everyone was shocked. "You're just a boy." They said, "He's a giant warrior." But David remembered the times he had protected his sheep from lions and bears. He knew that the same God who helped him then would help him now. He told King Saul, "God saved me from the paw of the lion and the paw of the bear, and he will save me from this giant." King Saul was so impressed by David's faith that he agreed. He offered David his own heavy armor and sword, but David tried them on and they were way too big and clunky. "I can't wear these," he said. "I will go just as I am." So David didn't take a sword or a spear. Instead, he walked to a nearby stream and chose 5 smooth stones. He put them in his shepherd's pouch. Then, with just his simple sling in his hand, he walked out to face the giant. Goliath saw David coming and laughed a big booming laugh. "Am I a dog?" he roared, "that you come at me with sticks and stones?" David wasn't intimidated. He looked right at the giant and said with a strong, clear voice, "You come to me with a sword and a spear, but I come to you in the name of the Lord God Almighty." David believed in his heart that it wasn't about how big you are or how strong you are. It's about how big your faith is. He knew that God was with him, and that was all the strength he needed. Then, David took one smooth stone from his pouch, placed it in his sling, and started to swing it around and around, faster and faster. He let the stone fly, and it zipped through the air, straight and true. The little stone hit the giant right on his forehead. And with that one little stone, the huge giant Goliath tumbled and fell to the ground. The whole army of Israel cheered. They couldn't believe their eyes. A young shepherd boy, with courage and faith in God, had done what no soldier could do. He had defeated the giant and saved his people. From that day on, everyone knew David's name. He became a hero, But David remained humble. He knew it was God's strength, not his own, that won the victory. As David grew older, he became a great leader. He was brave in battle, wise in his decisions, and kind to everyone he met. He loved music and wrote many beautiful songs and poems called psalms, which people still sing and read today. In his songs, he talked to God like a friend, sharing all his feelings, his happiness, his worries, and his thanks. Finally, the day came when David became the king of Israel, just as the prophet Samuel had said. He wasn't just a king who wore a crown and sat on a throne. He was a shepherd king. He cared for his people just like he had cared for his sheep, with a gentle and loving heart. He wanted to lead them with fairness and kindness. He worked to unite the entire kingdom, making it strong and peaceful. King David built a beautiful capital city called Jerusalem. He brought the Ark of the Covenant, a special chest that represented God's presence, into the city with a huge celebration. There was music, singing, and dancing in the streets. David himself danced with all his might, full of joy and thankfulness to God. He wanted everyone in his kingdom to know and love God as he did. Of course, being a king wasn't always easy. David made mistakes, just like we all do. But whenever he did something wrong, he was always very sorry. He would talk to God, ask for forgiveness, and try his best to do what was right. He had a heart that always wanted to follow God. He showed everyone that it's okay to make mistakes, as long as we learn from them and return to the right path. King David ruled for many, many years. He was known as a man after God's own heart. His story, from a humble shepherd boy to a great king, teaches us that it doesn't matter how small you are or where you come from. With courage, faith, and a heart full of love for God, you can do amazing things. David's life is a story of bravery, music, and a deep friendship with God, showing all of us that the most important thing is to have a kind and faithful heart. And that's a lesson for everyone, big or small. Thank you for watching our story today. I hope you liked learning about David. Remember to be brave, be kind, and always keep a song in your heart. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like and subscribe for more adventures. See you next time.